Glendale Fire Department. They have really been on the forefront with hands-only CPR, CCC, continuous chest compressions. You did a show on that. You were actually taught how to do it. Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, I had been contacted by Dr. Barbaro from the state, and he had mentioned and had said, you know, CCC, continuous chest compression, is really something that he sees is going to save a lot of lives in the future, and we need to start promoting it. And he tapped me on the shoulder and he says, I want to speak to you for a minute, and said, I'd like to really see you be like an advocate for Glendale being the first city to have continuous chest compression, and we've come a long way, haven't we?
Well, we sure have, thanks to you. So, you know, I chewed on your ear at that dinner, and you listened, and so it's been a great partnership and collaboration, thanks to you and Chief Burdick. And you know, the best thing is you've actually saved a lot of people, and you have, you know, many people walking around the city of Glendale because you did that. And you know, I just wanted the main message for the public in Glendale is that they can do this. The public can do this. In fact, the public has a huge part in this, and if the public at least knows to call 911 and to do the rapid forceful chest compressions that we're going to show them, they can nearly triple the chance of survival if someone collapses in the city of Glendale. So that's really exciting.
We can begin the demonstration. You want to go ahead, Chris, and show us what we have to do? And there's the patient or victim.
Okay, absolutely. So you find somebody down. The first thing you want to do is point somebody out, and if you know them by name, tell them to access 911. Chuck, I want you to go call 911.
Will do.
You want to then also, if there's an automatic external defibrillator available, go and get that. Chuck, now that you've called 911, I want you to go get the AED.
I'll grab it.
Go ahead and kneel down next to the patient. Okay. You want to get your knees as close to their chest as possible, and take your hand, and in the middle of their breastbone, rub them vigorously. These are what we're trying to find are signs of life. If they do not need us to do CPR, they're going to take their hand, push our hand away, or try to move away from the painful stimulus that we're giving them. Okay. So we've determined that that has not happened. Now you want to take your hands, whichever dominant hand is easy for you, go ahead and place it in the upper part of their breastbone, and just push down forcefully, approximately 2 inches, at least 100 times per minute.
So you want it 2 inches down?
Yes, and we also want to make sure that we allow their chest to come up fully as well.
Okay.
Now, important point to remember here is Chris didn't do any measurement there. He just went right in, basically in the middle of the chest, so the middle of the chest bone, and lined up his hands. He didn't, like in the old CPR version, he would have done some measuring with his other hand. He did not do that. So.
Okay, like you said there, you didn't do any pulse check. What if a person does have a pulse?
Well, what he looked for, Chris was looking for signs of lifelessness. Okay. So those signs of lifelessness are multi. It could be really poor color. The person has collapsed, and they appear to not be breathing. Things like that. Used to be when you checked a pulse, oftentimes people couldn't find a pulse anyway, or they were so nervous, being this the first time they had done it, they were feeling their own pulse many times. So we find it much more effective for them to just look for signs of lifelessness.
Okay, now you've called 911. You maybe have an AED. Chris has been on here can you switch off?
Absolutely.
If Chris says
yes.
Switch?
Chris is probably good for about 200 compressions.
Okay.
And after he does those first 200 compressions, I could jump into action as well. Or, as if we now have arrived with an AED, which stands for automatic external defibrillator, okay, then we can go ahead and put that on the patient, because this patient now has been receiving compressions. So we would go ahead and lay this out, take the pads out of the packages, and on the pads themselves, they have the, you can see clearly here, they show where the pads to be applied. Mm-hmm. So we apply those, we turn the machine on, and it'll go ahead and start to prompt you as to what you should do with the patients. So
connect electrodes.
And as it says, connect the electrodes, and you just move on from there. So no additional or special training is needed to use an AED. It's simply self-directed. So when you see them in the airports or in the city buildings, we actually have over 30 of them in Glendale public buildings throughout the city. They're also in the stadium and in the malls and other locations. So you shouldn't feel apprehensive about taking one off the wall and putting it into use.
All right. Now, I don't want to confuse folks, but I know there are times when traditional CPR should be used, and when should we use CPR.
That's true. CPR is still, and that would be the traditional approach to CPR, which would be the ventilation phase, and that's still used for children under 8 years old.
Okay.
Patients that have suffered a drug overdose and stopped breathing long before their heart stopped. So, and also drowning victims. So anything, think of anything that would be respiratory in nature, which led to their heart stopping, as opposed to their heart stopping, which caused them to stop breathing. So really those three examples would be the most common.
Guess what? After we did that show, and Glendale was one of the first fire departments to actually start practicing that and, you know, testing it, it went national.
Yeah.
And,
and we were a part of that.
Yes.
You know, that's what's really exciting.
So that's called hands-only CPR,
right.
And is now recommended practice. So, as Dr. Barbaro mentioned, it saved many lives, and I'm proud to say that when he contacted me, I championed it, and we did it, and now it's the American Medical Association, that's their standard.
Right. Do you ever think, Vice Mayor, about the ripple effect that maybe somebody watching that television show has learned it, or they've gone to take the actual class, and that you could be helping save lives? Is that
Oh,
something that
I
goes
know
through your
that
head?
for a fact. Yeah,
You do?
I know after that show, people started to want to find out about it. They were going online, they were contacting, and you know, it was a matter of, oh, I don't know what to do, so
right.
I'm not going to do anything. This way, they said, hey, you know, explain how to do it, and until someone gets there, keep applying, you know, and you know, there's steps, and
right.
in my mind, I would do it to a song to keep the correct, you know, rhythm.
Right.
And people weren't afraid.
Right.
You know, they knew they could do it, and they're not going to mess up.
Right.
And that's what I think a lot of people were concerned about. I'm
right.
not doing it right.
Right, and this is very simple, and that's why the standards have changed.
Right.
And once again, folks, if anyone is interested, the information is on the city's website, glendaleaz.com. It's on the fire department page for sure, and there are also classes here that the fire department teaches on it. So
absolutely.
Another thing important to you. Okay, we are going to take a quick break, but we have more of going down memory lane here with you and highlighting some of your very special shows, 36 TV shows in the past 12 and a half years. So we'll be right back.